Hello, welcome to GottaBeReel movie reviews with Thommi
Hello.
and Jules. And right now, we're doing a classic review.
Classic.
The Lost Boys.
Ooh, vicious vampires. Yay! All right.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like The Lost Boys.
I don't either. It's such a good classic, and the vampires are vicious in there. I don't. So yeah, let's talk about it. This is 1987.
Yep.
So we know we got some of that classic 80s horror feel formula to it. So let's talk about it. It's rated R, which is good.
Yeah.
All right.
You can see it on Prime Video for $3.99. So since it's there for $3.99, I'm sure it's on like YouTube and other stuff for about
Philo.
$3.99.
I don't know if it's Philo or Philo, however you pronounce it, but they have a
That's
free trial.
Yeah.
Yep. That you can watch Lost Boys on.
Yeah, so you can find it out there. It's 1 hour and 37 minutes long, and it stars Jason Patrick. I mean, he was huge back then. He was huge, and he was fine.
Yes.
I mean, he's still handsome, I'm just saying, but back then,
Hey.
the women were like, some men too, I'm sorry.
Probably so, right?
Corey Haim as Sam. Diane Wiest, she plays Lucy, their mom. And you remember her from Edward Scissorhands, another classic that we're going to have to review here.
Oh, yes. I love Edward Scissorhands. I seen people as him for Halloween. It was really cute. Like, the girl was Edward Scissorhands, and the guy was the Bush. It was so cute.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I saw Baby as Edward Scissorhands. So
Cute.
adorable. Adorable.
Oh, we need to get somebody's babies for Halloween because there's so many cute little outfits.
Yeah.
All right.
Bernard Hughes as Grandpa. He passed away in 2006.
I liked him in here. He was a cool grandpa.
You remember him from Sister Act 2 with Doc Hollywood and Tron. Man, I remember when Tron was coming out. I could not wait as a kid. Like, oh my gosh, I was so excited to see Tron. The first one, not the...
What is Tron?
One. It was a video game. And these people are on like these motorcycles, and it's like dark, and the motorcycles have the laser lights and stuff on the back, and they're racing.
Weaving
and
out
stuff.
of traffic,
Yeah.
and that sounds
Not
fun.
really traffic, they're like on a grid.
They probably
the
have that
video
game
game.
downtown at that arcade that we...
At Cobra Arcade Bar?
Yeah,
They might.
I want to go there. Okay.
Let's see, Kiefer Sutherland as David,
Yeah,
Jamie
Kiefer.
Gertz as Star.
She had her own show before.
Oh yeah, she did.
I forgot what it was called, but it was pretty funny. She was
Square
married with a
Pegs.
family, and then she had a sister, a blonde sister that used to come over, and she was single, so it was about
Okay,
their...
I don't know if that's the same, but I remember.
It wasn't Square Pegs, It was something else. Okay. But it was a pretty funny show.
But I just thought about their opening, the Square Peg song. Square
Never
Peg,
seen
Square
it.
Peg, Square Peg.
Was she
Like
a
us if they
teenager
like
in there?
us, but I don't think they like us. Square Peg, Square Peg.
I've never heard... I'm going to have to look that up now. I never heard of it.
Because they're nerds. They're like
Oh.
outsiders. So they're square pegs. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Corey Feldman as Edgar Frog. When I was looking this up, and I looked at Corey Feldman to see what he's been doing lately.
I wanted to do that too, because...
He is fixing to be in Goonies in 2027. Apparently, they're bringing Goonies back.
I heard that a while ago, but I'm not happy about... Of course, we're going to see it. We're going to see it, of course. But there's no way you can do it better. It's just...
Leave it alone. I mean, they're bringing back originals. But, and also 5 years out, like... Really?
Oh, yeah, because I've heard about this Goonies probably a good 3 years ago at least. So I hope it just gets kind of scrapped.
It might not happen. I mean, 5 years. It's not like they said next year.
Most of them still look the same. Josh Brolin. It's funny looking at him as a teenager in there, now seeing him as an adult. Like, he's been acting for so long, and he was handsome in there too. You know, he was a hot older brother who was a kind of a jerk, but yeah, he is. But I don't want them to do it. But okay.
I don't either.
All right.
And Jameson Newlander as Alan Frog. I had to get all the Frog brothers.
Yeah, I'm like, all these frog names.
Yeah. Well, it's the two Frog brothers, and then the other Corey. You know, so he was an honorable Frog brother.
And it's funny because in this movie, Corey, the way he talked, Corey Feldman, I've seen him in another movie where he did this thing, and he starts talking like this to sound like he's really tough. And it's intentionally done, but I guess back then they didn't see anything wrong with it, but it's annoying as F. And the other movie I seen him in, it was an action movie, kind of an action comedy, and he talked like this the whole time, you know. I'm like, why did they let him do that? Stop it!
Because that's him.
Stop it!
That's his thing. That's his
It's his
thing.
niche. Yes,
You can't take his thing away from him.
It's annoying. I would like to just go ahead and hit mute while he talks and watch the subtitles because it's annoying. But anywho, apparently they were okay with it. He's a cool dude. But okay, so tell us what Lost Boys is about.
So, a single mom and her 2 sons. She decides that she's going to move to Santa Clara.
I was going to say Santa Clarita, whatever that show is. I almost said that. And I didn't know that it was only Santa Clara.
I was going to say Santa Clarita.
Clarita Diet, yeah. I didn't know it was only, okay, Clara. Yeah. But okay, learn
she
something
decides to move them to Santa Clara to be close to her dad. And they find out that that's the vampire capital.
Yes.
Yep.
And what happens in here is like pretty cool because he actually meets, Corey Feldman's character and the other guy, and they're like, dude, you don't know what's going on around here? And he's like, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
Dude, we're vampire killers. We kill vampires. It went to that whole, and they actually have it labeled, like at one point I seen it labeled as a horror comedy. I'm like, it's really, there's some funny parts in there, but I don't like it being called a comedy. This is really a horror movie. But these kids in this movie, once they find out that they're in this vampire lair, because his older brother, him and his mom, his brother, they moved to this new place. Of course, his brother, he's the hot older brother. He sees this chick and, she's in his eyesight. She's a hot chick, whatever, star. So he goes after her. But then they find out that she's part of this, not necessarily willingly, but she's part of this vampire clique.
Yep.
And they don't like him. You got this dude coming in from Arizona, handsome dude, and this chick's over here digging. They don't like that. They hated on him. You know that?
Yeah, they did.
They hated on him bad. They act like they were his friends sometimes, and really they just did it just to try to pull pranks on him or tick him off. I'm like, they some haters. Y'all some hate just because he fine, and y'all want to be mad because he fine, and ruin his life and stuff. Quit hating. But anyway, that's what it is in here. And the thing I like about the Lost Boys, I like my vampires to be ugly, vicious, and mean. Don't get me wrong, I've watched the Twilight series. I've watched them all. And they're love stories. Sorry, but they're love stories. I don't want my vampires to be pretty with gelled hair and 6-packs, and they probably wear Axe body spray.
Right.
Nope. I want to see some ripping of limbs and some blood and some changing. I want to see all that stuff, and Lost Boys gives you all of that.
Okay, but they give you the ugliness, but they did use glitter in the blood to make it.
I didn't see it.
The fake blood.
I didn't
to make it sparkle a little bit. Yeah.
Like, was it one of the scenes where the blood? I didn't see glittery.
Yeah, just probably a little bit.
I must have to go back and look at it
because I
for the
read
scene.
that. Yeah.
See, today they probably wouldn't have to do that. Back then, this is 1987.
Yeah, but see, it wasn't like a Twilight kind of thing. It was just
a love story
to make it, pop because
just to make it look good on
horror
screen.
Comedy. You don't like the word comedy.
No, it wasn't.
So. But
they're ugly and mean and vicious, though. Here's some fun stuff about this. Now, if you are familiar with the Lost Boys, you've probably seen this meme 1,000 times, where the guy is singing "I Still Believe." He's tight pants, and he's playing the saxophone, and he's getting it on stage, and everybody was like, "What made them think we needed that scene in this movie?" But it's hilarious. But here's one of the goof ups that I discovered while he's performing "I Still Believe." His lips are out of sync to the lyrics.
Oh.
Now I watched it. I was like, let me see. And I caught it. Most of it was on, but there were a few spots where you could tell it was off. And I was like, I love catching. I like the goof ups, so I like to go back and watch him and see. But that dude was getting it. He was all, he's a thick guy on the saxophone with nice hair. And apparently this guy's played for, like superstars with his saxophone. So he's really popular. But the fact that they put him in this movie, everybody just found that to be hilarious. And it is. Like, where did that belong in this horror movie? But they were at this concert and, but it was funny. Anywho, it was funny and fun to watch. Now for this to be 1987, it only cost about $8.5 million to make this film. They smashed it at the box office over $32 million. That is phenomenal.
And probably still rising because people.
Yes.
I turn on TV sometimes; it still comes on occasionally. So.
For that to be 1987, that's a lot of money for back then. And this was also, here's another fun fact. This was the first movie that the two Coreys, which they got dubbed as, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman did together. And this ended up setting off a trend for them to do a whole lot of movies together. They became little teenage heartthrobs, and they were always known as the two Coreys. So they had great chemistry on the screen. And the girls just loved it. Loved the two
after
Coreys.
This movie, I had a big crush on.
Oh, which one? Corey Haim, probably? Yeah.
Feldman was no. Hey.
Yes, even I looked at some pictures like before he did pass away in 2010. So I was looking at some pictures right before he passed away, and he was still looking great.
Oh, he got back in shape. He
was looking good.
He got himself clean. Mm-hmm. He was working out, lost the weight, and then.
Well, they said what happened is that he pretty much some of the trauma from being a child star. We already know what could come with that territory as a child. So he was dealing with some of that trauma as he got older. They were saying he started doing a lot of movies that weren't, that didn't necessarily do that great at the box office or on TV. And he kind of resorted back to, his addiction. Now, at one point, I read that he died of an overdose. That's what was reported. But then now, if you look at it, they'll say he died of pneumonia.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're, if I was his family, I would rather that information stay private, just, because it's hurtful to, I understand if that's the way he died, that's fine, but I get it. I'm not going to debate whether it was pneumonia or an overdose. It was just really sad, though, because it was said that he committed suicide at some point. And I don't know if it's true.
The pneumonia.
Either way, it was sad. He was still pretty young. Guy was, like I said, he was trying to get himself together, but it was a sad thing. And this happens a lot to a lot of child stars. When you're really popular and famous, and all of a sudden, boom, out of the blue, you're not getting roles and stuff. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to deal with mentally. A lot of people may not understand. It's not an ego thing. It's just something that's hard to deal with. All of a sudden, you're not relevant whatsoever. You're not getting any work, and now people get depressed and things start happening, unfortunately.
That's why mental health is such a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You have some fun facts too you want to share?
Yep. Santa Cruz, where Santa Carla, you started that.
I can't help it.
Was once plagued with the reputation of being the murder capital of the world because of a series of very brutal murders by 3 different, very disturbed men in the early 70s. Because of John Lindley Fraser, Herbert Mullen, and Edmund Kemper, Santa Cruz endured 28 murders over a 30-month period between 1970 and 1973.
Well, we know Kemper.
You are the murder expert.
So. Well, we know who Kemper is. So Kemper was doing this thing, in the worst way. So, but that's kind of crazy that Santa Clara would be.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Serial killers. Yeah.
In the documentary Blood-Sucking Cinema 2007, Corey Haim said that all that blood had glitter in it, so to give them a shimmering effect, and was slimier than the other fake blood.
Yeah.
The title is filmed after the companions of J.M. Barr's Peter Pan, who remained forever young. Jason Patrick wasn't keen on playing the role of Michael, as he didn't want to be in a vampire movie wearing fangs and flying around. It took several meetings with director Joel Schumacher, who eventually persuaded him to be the lead character. And lastly, it had been highly theorized by fans that Grandpa was actually a half vampire, and the root beer was actually animal blood due to his hobby as a taxidermist. Well, I kept thinking something was up with Grandpa.
I just thought he was a cool dude. The fact that they turned this guy, when they were hating on, they turned him into a vampire, not by being bitten, which is usually what happens now. They tricked him into drinking some blood that made him half vampire. So that's a little bit different than that. Now you got to be bitten in order to turn, but they didn't. They just tricked him into drinking some blood. He thought they were all cool. I met these cool kids. I'm going to hang out with them. And really, they were just setting him up, for failure. It was pretty brutal. But the kids ended up carrying the movie. They pretty much ended up saving the day. And there was, I think, 2 more Lost Boys after this. I watched the first one. Yep. I wasn't happy with it, so I just stopped. Yep. Wasn't happy with it all. And apparently...
There was even a Frog Brothers one.
Oh, God.
That might have been the 3rd one, but yeah, they made like a short film about the Frog Brothers.
Yeah, not necessary.
It was not that great.
Yeah, I don't think that was necessary. And I was reading that in one of the origin stories that the original Kiefer Sutherland's characters and their whole group, that they became vampires because they were bitten by Dracula himself. So I was like, okay, but I didn't get that in the second one. Like I said, I didn't continue, but that's a pretty cool concept. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So if you, go ahead and pull this up. This is one of those classics that you will always. I watch it every now and again. Just because it's a good movie. It's got 80s formula. Vicious vampires in there, and it's pretty good. You might want to. It's rated R, so if you got little kids, you might want to be careful because there is some vicious scenes in here. There's a lot of blood and violence, and things like that. But as an adult, if you're a classic film lover, this has to be in your collection.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So go ahead and pull it up. It's worth the rent. Or except if you have Philo, you can pull it up on there as well. Right?
Yep.
All right. Well, we want to thank you very much for tuning in to our review of The Lost Boys. Don't forget, we GottaBeReel movie reviews are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Cash App, and the FearCon Network. So go to PhoenixFearCon.com. Check us out there. You can go to Connect to Your City Studios.
Just connect to your city.
Connect to your city and tap on the FearCon Network, and you'll see a lot of our work and a lot of other great things going on there as well. So go ahead and check us out. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.